Chapter 112, The Spiritual Power Test. This chapter is updated by Novels.pl. Elder Yu Jingchen agreed with the suggestion, for he also wanted to take the opportunity to see how powerful the Western Campus prodigies were. A sacred testing stone was soon placed on a metal frame in front of the door to the Divine Power Palace. Deputy Headmaster King Hu gazed at the 12 students and said, "You must do your best in the test. Elder Yu Jingchen can only offer you guidance if you fully understand your spiritual power. Now, line up according to your age. Chuamuzi, you're the oldest. You go first." Yes, Chuamuzi was confident in his spiritual power, for he was after all the first-ranked student 9 years ago. He had 12 chances to enter Divine Power Palace ever since joining Western Campus as an external student. In those 9 years, he had elevated his spiritual power to a particularly high level. The muscular Chuamuzi walked up to the sacred testing stone and placed his palm on it. Whoosh! Light streaks appeared on the surface of the stone. 1, 2, 3 light streaks. In the end, it stopped at the appearance of the 24th light streak. Chuamuzi wiped the sweat from his forehead. Satisfied with his result, he let out a loud laugh. He truly lives up to his reputation as our oldest senior. His spiritual power is so strong. I heard that he also knows how to refine weapons and train beasts. He's a second-class weapon refiner and beast trainer. It's really nice to have strong spiritual power, isn't it? Elder Yu Jingchen nodded. It's pretty incredible that you reached level 24 before the age of 30. If you get yourself together and focus on either refining weapons or training beasts, you'll definitely be a powerful weapon refiner or a tamer in the future. The Elder Yu Jingchen appeared to be complimenting Chuamuzi. He also seemed to be criticizing him. Chuamuzi was a highly talented warrior, that much was obvious to everyone. If he had focused on practicing martial arts, he would have reached the Earth realm long ago. If he had focused on refining weapons or training beasts, he would have been considered a third-grade weapons refiner or beast tamer by now. But he was talented in all 3 areas and wanted to cultivate everything. That was precisely what was holding him back. He naturally understood Elder Yu Jingchen's criticism and humbly asked for advice. "Teacher, which path do you think I should take?" Elder Yu Jingchen replied, "The path is below your feet. How you choose is up to you. I can only give you some suggestions. If you choose martial arts, you must give up weapon refining and beast training. You can see them as your hobbies, but you mustn't spend too much energy on them. Given your talents, you'll probably be able to achieve the Earth realm in the Intermediate Relic Exploration test early next year and become an internal student," he added. Chuamuzi's eyes brightened when he heard about the Intermediate Relic Exploration test. He wasn't the only one. Huang Yanjun, Duan Singerling, and a few other older students also became excited. They finally learned something about the Intermediate Relic Exploration test. Elder Yu Jingchen spoke again. "If you want to go for the other 2, you're absolutely qualified to enter the internal school and practice given your level 24 spiritual power. I can introduce you to a weapon refiner or tamer presbyter to be your master." Chuamuzi, what's your choice? Chuamuzi clenched his fists as if he had already made his choice. He smiled and said, "I've always wanted to be a strong warrior. If I wanted to break through to the Earth realm, I would have done it 4 years ago. I've been studying beast training and weapon refining in the last 4 years because I've been waiting for the Intermediate Relic Exploration test. Since the school is opening the middle-level heritage, I'll definitely choose the warrior path and enter in my best condition." Elder Yu Jingchen looked surprised, his expression conflicting with tears and laughter. "You've been refusing to break through to the Earth realm because you're waiting for the Intermediate Relic Exploration test in the next year." "Correct," Chuamuzi said. "It was a difficult task to break into the Earth realm, so the School of the Martial Market held the Elementary Relic Exploration test once every 2 years. The Elementary Relic Exploration test was nothing more than a leveling up exam. Only students who had reached the completion of the Black Realm were eligible to participate. The test not only provided students plenty of precious practice resources but also allowed them to experience many harsh and tough moments. Many of those stuck at the completion of the Black Realm were able to reach the Earth Realm and become internal students through such experiences. The test was held once every 2 years and only warriors who had reached the completion of the Black Realm could participate. On the other hand, the Intermediate Relic Exploration Test was held once every 10 years. Only the top 10 students of the 4 campuses were allowed to join. Since it was a very rare opportunity, participation came with even more benefits as well. Thus, the top geniuses in the campuses had always suppressed their cultivations, awaiting the test. Zhang Yuochen glanced at Huang Yanchen and Duanmu Xingling. No wonder there was only one first-ranked freshman who made it to the Earth Realm and became an internal student. Everyone else was waiting for the test. He wondered if he should fight for the chances. It would be another 10-year wait if he missed it. Chuamuzi stepped down. The second student to be tested for his spiritual power was Uheilan, a 26-year-old student who was the first-ranked freshman 7 years ago. Uheilan, level 18 spiritual power. Uheilan was fairly satisfied with his result. It was better than most warriors of the Earth Realm even if it wasn't comparable to Chuamuzi. The third student was the 24-year-old Hulian. She was the first-ranked student 6 years ago. Hulian, level 16 spiritual power. The fourth was the 23-year-old Yachi Tankan, the number 1 freshman 2 years ago. Yachi Tankan, level 12 spiritual power. The spiritual power of typical warriors usually hovered at level 10. Yachi Tankan had only entered the school and started practicing his spiritual power 2 years ago. His result was impressive given how little time he had to practice. The fifth was the 22-year-old Zhiling, the number 1 freshman last year. Zhiling, level 12 spiritual power. The sixth one was Ziqian, aged 22. Since Ziqian wasn't from an aristocratic family, she didn't have any resources when she was young. Yet for her to acquire her current cultivation meant she was an outstanding warrior among the relatively poor ones. If she wanted resources for practice, she had to kill people for money so she could buy pills, martial techniques, books, and weapons. Ziqian, level 16 spiritual power. When Elder Yue Jingjin read out the strength of Ziqian's spiritual power, the students below were all surprised. They found it unbelievable for a freshman to reach level 16. The seventh was the 21-year-old Huang Yanchen, the first-ranked freshman 5 years ago. Huang Yanchen, level 21 spiritual power. A smile floated on her face when she saw her result. She didn't realize her spiritual power had increased by 1 level. Though it was just 1 level, such an increase in spiritual power couldn't be underestimated. It was incredibly difficult to do so after reaching level 15. The eighth to be tested was the 21-year-old Prince Huo Crossing. Huo Xing, level 17 spiritual power. Elder Yue Jingchen looked at Prince Huo Xing approvingly, praising all the freshmen this year. They all had real abilities and strong spiritual powers. Yet Prince Huo Xing wasn't satisfied with his result. He had been planning to give everyone a shock with the strength of his spiritual power. However, Huang Yanjin's performance was too startling and completely overshadowed him. They were both 21 years old. Yet Huang Yanjin's spiritual power was at level 21. That was 4 whole levels higher than his. There was nothing for him to be proud of. The ninth was the 19-year-old Yao Qingtong. Yao Qingtong, level 15 spiritual power. The ones who felt the worst at the moment were Yachi Tankang and Zhiling. They were senior students but were overshadowed by the freshmen. It was acceptable if it was just 1 freshman. Yet all 3 had obtained higher levels of spiritual power than theirs. How could they take on such embarrassment? The 10th was the 18-year-old Duanmu Xingling, who joined 3 years ago. Duanmu Xingling, level 20 spiritual power, said Elder Yue Jingjin with a smile. The 11th student was the 17-year-old Luo Shuaihan, who joined 4 years ago. Luo Shuaihan, it's your turn to test your spiritual power. Elder Yue Jingjin said smilingly. Luo Shuaihan didn't come from an ordinary background. She was the descendant of Luo Xu, the number 1 genius of the Western campus in its history of 460 years. 4 years ago, She joined the Western campus as the first-ranked freshman at the age of 13. This had sent shockwaves across the entire school of the Marshall Market. The Luo family was a large and wealthy family. There wasn't any need for her to practice at the Western campus, but she was a proud person and wanted to surpass her ancestor, Luo Xu. Therefore, she came to Western campus and followed after her ancestor's footsteps. She wanted to become someone as powerful as her ancestor. She was only 17, but she was widely accepted as the #1 warrior of the Western campus. Even Chu Amuzi, Huang Yanchen, and Duan Muxingling couldn't match up to her. Zhang Yuochen was also curious about this person who lived in heaven #1. He turned to look at her. Luo Shuaihan was wearing a plain white robe without any adornments, looking very plain. No one would notice her in a crowd, but once they did, they wouldn't be able to look away from her beauty. She didn't look like she belonged to this world. Rather, she looked like a fairy who had fallen from the heaven. Zhang Yuochen couldn't find a single flaw in her. There was nothing to criticize her at all. She was a beautiful and unique woman, without the frostiness of Huang Yanchen or the strangeness of Duan Muxingling. She had an unearthly aura, like a woman would only be observed from afar and never to approach.